Stop and actually picture what happens to a human being when they laugh hard. The face crumples, the mouth flies open, the body convulses, doubling over, sometimes slapping a knee or grabbing a nearby arm. A strange rhythmic barking noise erupts out of the chest. Ha 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 ha! Completely beyond anyone's control. The eyes scrunch shut and start leaking water. Breathing collapses into helpless gasping. In extreme cases, people fall on the floor, lose the ability to speak, and yes, occasionally even wet themselves. If you saw an alien species do this, you'd assume they were having some kind of medical emergency, a seizure, a malfunction. And yet we, the supposedly rational apes, have decided that this bizarre full-body convulsion is the sound of pure joy. We chase it. We pay comedians for it. We marry the people who give us the most of it. We treat the ability to trigger this strange breakdown in another person as one of the most attractive qualities a human can have. So what on earth is going on? Why does the human body do this? Why did evolution build a loud, involuntary, contagious convulsion into us, and then make it feel wonderful? Here's the thing that's going to surprise you, and it's the first crack in everything you assume about laughter. You think you laugh because things are funny. You think laughter is a response to jokes, to comedy, to wit. And you are, for the most part, completely wrong. Because when scientists actually went out into the real world and studied when and why people laugh, they found that humor has shockingly little to do with it. This is the strange, ancient, deeply social story of why we laugh. And it begins, like all good mysteries, by proving that the obvious answer is a lie. A scientist named Robert Provine decided to do something almost no one had bothered to do. Instead of studying laughter in a lab with carefully prepared jokes, he and his team went out into the wild, into shopping malls and sidewalks and parties, and they eavesdropped. They recorded thousands of real, spontaneous, everyday laughs, and then they wrote down exactly what was said in the moment right before each one. And the results detonated the entire common sense theory of laughter. Because only 10 to 20% of all that laughter followed anything you could remotely call a joke. The overwhelming majority followed lines that were stunningly mundane. Things like, "Hey, where have you been?" Or, "Look, it's Andre." Or, "I'll see you later." Or, "How did you do on the test?" None of these are funny, not a single one, and yet they were drowning in laughter. The conclusion was unavoidable and a little bit shocking. We don't mostly laugh because things are funny. We laugh because we are with other people. And once you see that, the evidence is everywhere. Consider this stunning fact. You are up to 30 times more likely to laugh when you're with other people than when you're completely alone. 30 times. Sit by yourself with no phone, no television, no other person around, and no one thinking about other people, and laughter very nearly disappears entirely. It's not that solitary things aren't funny. It's that laughter was never really designed for you. It was designed for them. Provine even discovered something he called the punctuation effect. Laughter doesn't interrupt our sentences randomly. It politely waits and slots itself into the natural pauses in speech, at the ends of phrases, like a kind of social punctuation mark. And the person speaking actually laughs more than the person listening. Think about that. The teller of the unfunny joke is laughing harder than the audience. Because the laughter was never about the content, it was about the connection. Laughter is a tool we use, almost entirely unconsciously, to grease the gears of being around each other. So if laughter isn't fundamentally about humor, then what is it actually for? Why would such a strange, loud, involuntary behavior evolve at all? To answer that, we have to do something that might surprise you. We have to leave humans behind entirely and go hang out with apes. Because laughter is not a human invention. It is far, far older than we are. Tickle a young chimpanzee, and it will erupt into a breathy, panting, rhythmic sound that any reasonable person would call laughter. Gorillas do it, orangutans do it, baby bonobos do it, dissolving into giggles during play just like human toddlers. Scientists who carefully analyzed the acoustics of all this ape laughter found something profound. Human laughter and ape laughter are clearly versions of the same ancestral sound.
By mapping the family tree, they traced the origins of laughter back somewhere between 10 and 16 million years ago to a common ancestor of all the great apes. Laughter is older than humanity, older than language, older than walking upright. It was echoing through the forests long, long before anything resembling a person existed.
And here's where the deepest clue lies. In apes, when does this laughter happen? Almost always during one specific activity: play. Rough and tumble play. Chasing, wrestling, tickling, mock fighting. And that points us straight at where laughter came from. It very likely evolved from the heavy, panting breathing that happens during physical play. And it served a crucial purpose, a purpose it still serves today. It's a signal that says, this is not a real fight. This is safe. I'm not actually attacking you. Keep going. When two young animals tumble and bite and tackle each other, they need a way to constantly reassure each other that nobody actually means harm. Laughter is that reassurance. It's the flag of safety, the all-clear signal, the sound that means, relax, this is just a game. Some scientists believe this is the deep root of all laughter, even at jokes. The setup of a joke builds a tiny bit of tension or expectation, and the punchline suddenly reveals that the threat was harmless, that the surprise was safe. And your brain releases that tension with the ancient all-clear signal. The ha of a resolved scare and the ha of a punchline may be the very same sound, doing the very same job. If you still doubt how deep and ancient this is, look at babies. Human infants begin to laugh at around 3 to 4 months old. That's long before they can speak a single word, long before they understand a single joke. And here is the detail that should give you chills. Babies who are born completely deaf and completely blind, who have never heard another person laugh and never seen a smile, still laugh. They laugh during play, during tickling, during the joyful surprise of peekaboo. The behavior is not learned by copying others. It is built in. It comes pre-installed in the human machine, switched on before language, before culture, before comedy. Laughter isn't something we figure out. It's something we're born already knowing how to do. So we have this ancient play signal, shared with apes, present from infancy. But humans took it and did something extraordinary with it. And to understand what, we need to talk about grooming. In the world of monkeys and apes, social bonds are the difference between life and death. And the main way primates build and maintain those bonds is by grooming each other, patiently picking through one another's fur. It's not really about hygiene, it's about trust. Grooming triggers the release of endorphins, the brain's own opioids, creating a warm glow of connection and calm between the groomer and the groomed. The problem is that grooming is painfully slow and strictly one-on-one. You can only groom a single companion at a time, which puts a hard ceiling on how big a tight-knit group can ever get, because there simply aren't enough hours in the day to groom everyone. Now here is the beautiful idea, proposed by the anthropologist Robin Dunbar. As our human ancestors started living in larger and larger groups, they hit that grooming ceiling. There was no longer enough time to physically bond with everyone you needed on your side. And so, evolution found a workaround. It took that ancient ape play laugh and repurposed it into something revolutionary, a way to groom many people at once, from a distance, using nothing but sound. Think about it. When a group of friends erupts into shared laughter together, they are all, in that instant, bonding simultaneously. It's grooming at a distance. Vocal grooming. And the genius of it is that it hijacks the very same machinery as physical grooming. Dunbar and his team ran a series of clever experiments and found that laughter measurably raises your pain threshold, a reliable sign that your brain is flooding itself with endorphins, the exact same bonding opioids released by grooming. Laughing together with other people literally doses all of your brains with the chemistry of connection, all at the same time. When you laugh with your friends, you are quite literally drugging yourselves into a tribe. This bonding power is also why a good sense of humor is one of the most universally attractive traits a human being can have. Surveys across cultures consistently rank it near the very top of what people say they want in a partner. And there may be a deep evolutionary reason for that. To make someone laugh, genuinely and helplessly, you have to be quick, perceptive, socially fluent, and clever. You have to read another person's mind in real time and surprise it in exactly the right way. Some researchers think humor evolved partly as a display of mental fitness, a peacock's tail made of wit. When you make someone laugh, you aren't only bonding with them, you're showing off the raw quality of your brain. And when they laugh back, helplessly, despite themselves, they're telling you that it worked. This also explains one of laughter's strangest features. It's wildly contagious. You felt it. Someone near you starts genuinely cracking up, and before you even know what's funny, you feel the pull, the corners of your mouth twitching, the laugh bubbling up. This is why television comedies have used laugh tracks for decades, because hearing other people laugh makes you laugh, full stop. It works even when the canned laughter is obviously fake. Contagious laughter is a tool for synchronizing an entire group's emotional state in an instant, pulling everyone onto the same wavelength, knitting a crowd into a single feeling. It's one of the most efficient social technologies our species ever stumbled into. And just how far can that contagion spread? In 1962, in a village in what is now Tanzania, something almost unbelievable happened. At a girls' boarding school, a few students started laughing, and they simply couldn't stop. The laughter jumped to their classmates, then to other students, then leapt beyond the school walls and into the surrounding villages. Over the following months, this laughter epidemic swept through an estimated 1,000 people across the region. Schools were forced to shut their doors. It wasn't a virus in any ordinary sense, and it wasn't about anything funny at all. It was a wave of contagious behavior, almost certainly fueled by underlying stress and tension, rippling through tightly connected social groups, passing person to person to person, exactly the way laughter is built to spread. It stands as one of the most dramatic demonstrations in all of history of just how deeply and how irresistibly laughter leaps between human beings. But not all laughter is created equal, and this is where it gets fascinating. There are actually two completely different kinds of human laughter, produced by two different systems in your brain. The first is genuine, helpless, involuntary laughter, the kind that bursts out when you truly lose it, when you can't stop, when you're gasping and crying. Scientists call this Duchenne laughter, and it springs from deep, ancient, emotional circuits that you cannot fully control. The second kind is the polite, social, voluntary laughter, the little ha-ha you produce on purpose to be agreeable, to fill a silence, to signal you're listening. That one comes from a completely different, more modern, voluntary pathway in the brain, related to the one we use for speech. And here's the remarkable part. People all over the world, across wildly different cultures and languages, can instantly tell the difference between the two just by hearing them. We are all expert detectors of fake versus real laughter, because being able to tell who genuinely feels connected to us and who is merely performing it has always mattered enormously. There's even a clue to laughter hidden in how humans uniquely make the sound. When an ape laughs, it pants, making a sound on both the outbreath and the inbreath. Ha ha ha. But human laughter is different. We laugh almost entirely on the exhale, in a chopped string of ha 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 ha, emptying the lungs in a way that leaves us gasping and breathless. Why the difference? Provine proposed a brilliant answer. Apes, which move on 4 legs, have their breathing locked to their stride, 1 breath per bound, because their chest has to absorb the impact of their front legs hitting the ground. This rigid link between breathing and movement limits them to simple, short vocal bursts. But when our ancestors stood up and started walking on 2 legs, our breathing was suddenly freed from our stride. We gained fine, voluntary control over the air leaving our lungs, the ability to chop a single breath into a precise sequence of sounds. And that exact same freedom, the control that lets you go ha ha ha, is the freedom that lets you produce the rapid, complex stream of sounds we call speech. In a strange and beautiful way, the same evolutionary shift that gave us our peculiar human laughter may also have given us the power to talk. Now, we have to be honest about laughter, because it isn't always warm and kind. Laughter has a dark edge too. It can be a weapon. We don't only laugh with people, we laugh at them. Mockery, ridicule, scornful laughter. These are some of the most powerful tools a social group has ever wielded to enforce its rules and police its members. To be laughed at, to be the object of the group's derision, is one of the most painful social experiences a human can endure, precisely because laughter is such a potent signal of who is inside the circle and who is being pushed out. And this reveals laughter's true nature with brutal clarity. It was always, fundamentally, about belonging. Researchers have even found that complete strangers listening to short clips of two people laughing together can accurately judge whether those two are genuine friends, just from the sound of their shared laughter. The bond, or the lack of it, is audible. Laughter broadcasts to everyone within earshot the invisible map of who is connected to whom. And then there's the strangest laughter of all, the kind that seems to make no sense at all. We laugh at funerals. We laugh in moments of terror, when we're cornered or frightened. We laugh in unbearably awkward situations, often at the worst possible moment, completely unable to stop ourselves. This nervous, inappropriate laughter has baffled people forever, but it makes perfect sense once you understand what laughter truly is. It was never just a response to joy. At its core, it's a release of unbearable tension and a signal of, we're okay, this is survivable, we're still together. When the pressure of a situation becomes too much, the ancient circuit fires, trying to discharge the tension and reassure everyone, including yourself, that the danger can be borne. The laugh of pure delight and the laugh of pure panic are cousins, two branches of the same deep root, both saying, in their own way, we will get through this. So let's come back to that bizarre convulsion we started with. The barking, the gasping, the tears, the helpless loss of control. It seemed at first like such a strange and pointless thing for a body to do, but now you know what it really is. It is one of the oldest sounds on the entire planet, a noise your ancestors were making in some form 16 million years ago, tumbling and wrestling and playing in the trees, long before they were human, long before they could speak a word. It is not, and never really was, about jokes. It's a signal, deeper and older than language itself, that means three simple things. We are safe, we are together, and this is play. Every single time you laugh with another person, you are reaching across the cold, dark gap that separates one mind from another, and you are flooding both of your brains with the ancient chemistry of belonging. You are doing exactly what a mother ape does when she grooms her infant, only you're doing it with sound, with a whole group all at once. That is why a room full of people laughing together is one of the warmest feelings a human being can have. That's why we are so desperate to make each other laugh, why we fall in love with the people who can do it best. It isn't really about being funny. It never was. It's about the oldest message our species knows how to send. A message that needs no words, that we were broadcasting before we had words at all. So the next time you're with someone you love, gasping for breath, tears streaming down your face, completely helpless with laughter, understand what you're actually doing in that moment. You're not just laughing. You are speaking the most ancient language there is, the one we inherited from the apes, and saying the only thing that has ever truly mattered. You're safe. I'm here. We're in this together. And perhaps that's the quiet miracle hiding inside something so ordinary we barely notice it. Every day, without thinking, we fill our homes and streets and phone calls with this strange, joyful, involuntary noise. And every burst of it is a tiny act of belonging, 16 million years in the making. So go make someone laugh today. You won't just be being funny. You'll be doing the oldest, kindest thing one human can do for another.